All right, everyone. It seems like the logins have slowed down a little bit, but so in the interest of time, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, by way of introduction, my name is Ray with the technology product team here at TD Ameritrade Institutional, and this is the Veooo1 new user walkthrough. We are very excited to be able to show you and demonstrate some of the features of Veooo1 for you today. For many of you who are used to using Veooo Classic, Veooo1 does combine the account management and trading functionality that you use today, but also brings in the power of your integrated vendors that you're using in your practices, whether those technology vendors would be a CRM, a financial planning system, a portfolio management system, or other business applications that you're using with your clients. Veooo1 does give you that dashboard approach and that integrated view, and we hope to show you some of those benefits today. I'm joined by a number of colleagues. Mike Madrid and Charlie Fargo will be doing the bulk of our live demonstration. Janice D, Victor Barba, and I will be answering your questions on the Q&A, which does bring me to my first housekeeping item. We do have several dozen attendees today, so all of the lines are muted, but you can still interact with us and ask questions through the Q&A module. It should show up in the lower right-hand portion of your WebEx screen. If it does not, hover your mouse over the main display area. That's where Mike is showing the homepage of Veooo1. That will bring up a series of circles. Click on this circle, second to the right. It's the circle with the ellipsis or the three periods, three dots in it. And that will bring up a menu. And the Q&A icon or the Q&A module is first at the top. Just make sure it's highlighted in blue by clicking on it. That should bring up the module for you. And if you've got a question or a comment during the presentation, please let us know. Just type in your comment and send to all. We will be answering your questions if we're not presenting live. And if we get enough of the same question, we'll make sure to ask Charlie and Mike live so that everybody gets the benefit of that answer. One of the things I do want to address is Veooo retirement. So the Veooo1 platform will be retiring. We are looking forward here towards the end of 2020. Of course, some of that does depend on kind of the conditions that we're all living in today. But you know, in general, our intent is to sunset the platform by 2020. So many of you have gotten migration notices, which is what drives you or brings you here today. And so just continue to look out for those notifications as the year goes by. So with that, I'm going to throw the presentation over to Mike. Mike, we do see the homepage of Veooo1, so the presentation's yours.
Great, thanks, Ray. So, okay, let's jump right in. So Veooo1 is really the natural kind of evolution of our, as Ray had kind of mentioned, our open access platform, open access architecture, where several years ago, rather than choose technology stacks for you and then resell them, we figured it was best for you to really customize your technology for your firm based on your budget and how many employees you have, the kind of work you do, et cetera. So with that, in the background of Veooo1 is over 150 integrations with third-party vendors. Those integrations run a number of different flavors and types. Within Veooo1, we have about 35 of those 150 applications that are integrated to Veooo1 in some way. We'll see a little bit of that as we step through the presentation. But again, like I say, it's kind of the evolution of that open access platform. I do like to mention that with respect to your existing integrations and your existing contracts with your existing software partners, none of this changes any of that. So Veooo1 lays on top of your existing integrations. So it doesn't replace the data that might be flowing from those third-party systems into our systems or vice versa. It kind of lays a layer on top of that. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into the site. So again, this is not really a training. This is more just to kind of get your feet wet, show you some tips and tricks if you may have used Veooo1 before or if you've never used Veooo1. So again, we'll be moving fast, but again, like I say, not really a training, more just kind of an introduction. So this is the My View page. My View page is the landing or home page of the site. You can see a number of different elements here. The left-hand navigation with the expandable and collapsible menu structure. and then a number of static elements across the top as well that we'll talk about very quickly. But again, on these menus, nested up at the top is this reset menu. So these do expand and have all the options. You can navigate the entire site from the left-hand nav. If you find that this is your scrolling, just hit reset up at the top left, and it'll collapse it back down to the original view. And then on some of the table pages, like the consolidated pages, you can actually gain a little bit of extra real estate by hiding the menu using the hide menu feature. All right, across the top is a couple of elements. Let's take a look. So the first is a search, as you might suspect, by accounts and clients. I do want to stop here and make mention of what a client is, to define what a client really means to TD Ameritrade and to Veooo1. So a client is any one person or entity and all the accounts that share that same social security number within our system. So an IRA, an individual, and perhaps a Roth account all have the same social security. That becomes one client. Now, there's no work to be done on your side on that. That is done automatically overnight. So we actually bundle those groups of accounts up on your behalf. What that suggests is if you were to open up a new account for somebody that has 3 accounts today, tomorrow when you log into Veooo1, you'd see 4 accounts assigned to that client. So in charting kind of steps through the client page, it'll make a little bit more sense in terms of how we're aggregating the data. So that's how you see clients and accounts. Of course, the individual account numbers are still valid. Individual accounts are still tracked as individual accounts, but we do group them up. Disregard the fact that this says Calvin Coolidge twice. This is a kind of dummy data in our production environment. And so some of the data is kind of weird. The names don't always line up and that sort of thing. But imagine you have just one Calvin Coolidge and then the 4 accounts that Calvin Coolidge owns. So moving across, this is recent marked accounts. So what this window shows you is all of the accounts that you visited and clients that you visited or interacted with on the site in one way or the other in the most recent order. So of course, Calvin Coolidge is at the top. That suggests that I accessed the Calvin Coolidge client record most recently. And this list automatically kind of grows up to 15 items, and it follows you cross-session, meaning you can log out and log back in. Think of this as kind of an internet history of sorts of your time within Veooo1. You see the little flag icon here, that's marked. So if you click onto the marked tab, you'd actually see marked accounts. Marked accounts are kind of like a bookmark. Maybe you just opened up 5 new accounts for a new family, a new relationship with you, and you want to track those accounts to see funding and make sure that everything's on track, etc. You could mark those accounts, and then you have very quick access to that group of accounts from within the top header bar. Next is the All Accounts window. We are currently actually redesigning this, enhancing it for a number of reasons, including performance. This particular module is, I call it out because we have all accounts on Veooo1, or I'm sorry, on Veooo Legacy, and folks don't know that we have the All Accounts window here within Veooo1 as well. So it looks like we're having some network latency behind the VPN firewall. All right, so once you've got this account there, this list opened up, again, this is your working list. Notice that it opens in a separate window that I can drag and drop onto an additional monitor if I need. Just like in Veooo NextGen, as you move and filter this particular window, those filters stick with this module throughout the session until you change them. So as you do any activity on this page, as you suspect, it would actually perform that activity in the parent window or in the browser behind. So once this list is filtered like you like it, you no longer have to pull up the same list of accounts over and over and over again. Again, these filters will persist. So that's kind of like a working list for if you're doing a number of on various accounts. All right, across the top reading here, also very quickly, it's a message center. So this is just a shortcut to the message center. A quote lookup feature. The most recent 10 that you've looked up are shown at the user level. Again, this is cross-session, so this list always has the most recent lookups. And you can search by symbol or by company name, and then, of course, get the snap quote with the charts. Notifications. So this is a quick view notifications, your operational notifications that you're, I'm sorry, calling them notifications, alerts that you're familiar with today. So same content, just organized a little bit differently. This is today's alerts. Charlie will show you the larger version of alerts, which is the 30 days and some of the features there. But within this particular module, you can have quick access to marking these red, taking a look at the details, et cetera. And you can see that they are categorized into the various types of alerts that you get. Then across the top here, tasks and the calendar are actually coming from, in this case, Redtail and Salesforce. We are connected in this demo account to both. Wealthbox also has a calendar that they host here. So again, if you're using Redtail or Salesforce or Wealthbox, your tasks and calendar do appear here. We push items there in real time. Again, Charlie will show you tasks and calendar in the full-size screen in activities, but this is kind of a quick view. So if you were to add a calendar event here or in your CRM, it would show up here as well. So based on what you have in your CRM, your calendar, we kind of replicate here. There's some additional features and functionality in terms of actually pushing items from Veooo1 into into your CRM. And then the Veooo1 integration kind of library here. So again, I want to make mention here.
Hey, folks, I think Mike's audio may have cut out. All right. Tell you what, Mike, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm gonna step in. I guess he couldn't hear me if his audio was cut off. Okay, folks, hold on just a second. Let me get set up to. Sorry about the technical difficulties, everyone. All right. And you should be able to see my screen now. So I think Mike had just left off on vendors here. Excuse me. And actually, Charlie, just doing a quick check. Can you see the Veooo1 home screen?
Yes, we can see you and I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect. Thank you, Charlie. Okay, so I think we lost Mike just here when he was talking about vendors. And I think he had mentioned that the vendors that you would see here would obviously depend on the vendors that you are using within your practices. We're in a demo account here, and so we've got access to almost 40 different vendors, all of them that we're integrated with in Veooo1. I would like to point out that the first time that you log into Veooo1, you will be prompted to make that connection between your Veooo1 user account and your vendor applications here. And that usually takes the form of asking you for your username and password for those different vendors. You may have to do that twice depending on how the integration has been built. But what that's doing is making a connection between, again, your Veooo1 user account and your user account at with the different financial systems and applications that you use, and then you'll be able to take advantage of those integrations. So the single sign-on menu or gathering point here is the first of our icons. And so from here, you'll be able to single sign-on into your other applications, and this will land you on the home page. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to go to Wealthbox here. What's going on is that secure handshake between the two systems. You'll notice that because I've connected the two user accounts prior, I don't have to enter in a username and password, and so I do land on the home page. So again, this icon up here in the upper right-hand corner is the collection of all of the home pages for all of the different applications that you use. Charlie, just a little help here. I was answering some of the chat questions. Had Mike has already covered the search icon and then all of the other shortcuts here?
Yeah, why don't we just, I think we're pretty good on my view, Ray. If you want to, you can probably just pass it over to me and I can continue, or you can take the analytics if you want.
Sure, I'll take analytics while I'm at it. So that was my view. We're going to take a look, just a quick look here at the analytics and insights menu here. I'm going to leave activities for Charlie's, first part of Charlie's presentation. But we'll start with the advisor dashboard. So the advisor dashboard gives you a number of different views of your data. So up here at the top, you'll see that you'll have assets under management, NNA, which is net new assets, and then a total of inflows and outflows year to date. Like many of the other views on Veooo1, you can edit your views for what makes sense to you and your role within the firm. The advisor dashboard is set up just a little bit differently than many of the other pages here on Veooo1. So if we just take a quick look at editing and editing modules here, you'll see that modules can be a number of different sizes, small, medium, large, and you can actually repeat modules within this page. And why would you want to repeat modules? I will show that then as we go through it. But here we've got a representation of the page. Just like in any of the pages that you can change your view, you'll have a library of modules that you can drag in modules or out. And then you go ahead and click save to save that, and then Veooo1 remembers what that module looks like. So just taking a quick look at some of the modules here, this net new assets goal, for example, you can see that I've set an asset goal of bringing in $10 million in new assets by the beginning of May. And what this basically does is then track that for you based on, the rep codes that you have access to. So the reason why you may want to repeat that goal then would be to track assets. Let's just say that your firm's set up that you've got rep codes for each advisor within your firm, single rep code, so you can set asset goals for individual advisors, or again, kind of slice and dice and track those the way that you'd like to. So that would be a reason for wanting to repeat some of these different modules. You'll see we've got client segmentation models. It's a way to slice and dice different information here, again, by rep codes, or even things as, the different generations of your clients. We've got some details on ACATs in and out, new accounts within the last number of days. So you can see in the last 60 days here, and you can choose that time frame, but in the last 60 days, we've been able to add in 22 new accounts. And then balance over time, which is actually repeated both here and at the account and the client level. So the balance over time is basically that. It shows, the asset growth, hopefully, for a client account. And the way that this works is that you do an account number search, so you can actually search by name or account number against at that time period, and then show that. And then I think Charlie will also take a quick look at that when he's demoing the client and account view. So that is the dashboard. The next menu item that I'd like to walk through here is FA Insights. So for those who don't know, FA Insights is a firm that does bring, does a lot of benchmarking and asset or data gathering and analysis for the financial services industry, for the advisor industry. And so what this allows you to do then is take advantage of all of that data that's been gathered here. So the very first time that you enter the FA Insights data, you'll be prompted to create a firm profile. So it's an easy three-step process where you'll fill out some information about your firm, assets under management, revenues, for example, a little bit about your team makeup, and then the expenses for your firm. But with that three-step profile, then you'll be able to step through and see how you're doing against like firms, your peer firms within the industry. So you'll be able to take a look at some key performance indicators, revenue growth, revenue per role, for example. And if there are any improvements to be made, you'll be able to see those areas of improvements. And then within those areas of improvement, you'll also be able to take advantage of some of the practice management courses and modules and training in that particular area. So this is not actually enabled for everyone by default. As you can imagine, there are some firms where some of this information is sensitive, but a principal of the firm, somebody with signing authority, can direct that this FA Insights is turned on for different individuals within that firm, and we'll give you some contact information for technology services later on through the presentation. All right, so that was FA Insights. So I've done my view, analytics and insights. Are there any questions that have come up, Charlie, before I pass the presentation over to you?
No, Ray, I think we're good.
All right.
So if you want to pass control,
Charlie, I am
keep going here.
Passing you control.
All right, let me share my screen here. We'll keep going.
All right, Charlie, we can do the homepage.
So we're great. Let me minimize this. All right, minimize that. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to do the Activities tab. The Activities tab is kind of net new functionality. Didn't exist on the legacy Veooo platform. And really, what we're doing with the Activities tab is we bring your calendar from your CRM system. We're integrated with 5 different CRM systems. It's all the main ones: Salesforce, Redtail, Juncture Cloud, Advise-On, Wealthbox. We bring that information into your calendar, your tasks, and you can kind of manipulate and work with it along with your TD operational alerts and the message center. And the message center is the way that you can securely message documents and information to your service team. So this page is set up a little bit different. Go to the Edit Modules button, and the module that you put at the top of the page here is going to be the module that shows up in the large working space. Definitely encourage you on the first thing you do when you go to all the new pages is check out what modules you have, because there's a lot of the vendor modules aren't on your dashboard by default. You'll have to drag them drag them from your module library onto the page. So definitely want to go ahead and do that. I want to first talk a little bit about alerts. This is the default view is by subscription type. It's kind of a little bit easier to see rather than just having one long list of all your alerts. We're going to roll them up into description type. So categories is the best way of thinking of this. So for example, if I wanted to see today, looks like I had a couple of unread block executions. And you can see up here at the top, there's an all and an unread tab. So I can toggle back and forth. So I just want to see my unread alerts. I'm going to click on the unread alerts button. And then from here, I can mark all the block execution as read in one group. So definitely, and it says at the top, we get the confirmation there that they've been marked, and they drop off my unread tab, but they go over to my all tab. I do want to point out here we do have filtering capability on the alerts. There is a little bit of difference between Veooo and Veooo1 in that we actually the default is the last 30 days. When Veooo it's the 7 days, so you're going to see kind of that wider time range for all your alerts. You can filter by a specific rep code. You can filter by alert type, a subscription type here as well. So that's alerts. I want to now talk a little bit about the message center. The way I was able to move the module from the right-hand side to the left-hand side is using that looks like a turn arrow. I clicked, it says move to workspace. I clicked on that and moved the module from the right-hand side of the page to the middle of the working space. Now from here, pretty straightforward. You're going to have your inbox, all your different folders there. When you create a new message, one of the new features I really like in Veooo1 is you can actually, give it a second here. It's like if I create a new message with or without attachments, let's do that. you can actually drag and drop files. So I can go, let's say I have files on a server, I can go pick those files up and I can drop them in here. So maybe you have to email your service center team. They need some additional documentation about a new account. It's really easy to grab the files, drop them in here, and then send a note to your service support team, whatever your corresponding team is. All right, so I wanted to show you kind of some of the vendor modules, just can give you a preview of what they look like. Again, you're only going to have these modules if you have an active contract with the vendor. For example, with Wealthbox, they have like an activity stream, almost like a Twitter stream where you can see everything that's going on in the firm. So if new accounts are open, if someone's doing a task, we can see that here. You're also going to have calendars. So calendar, this is both the Salesforce and Redtail calendar. I can add a new event. You can jump over to those systems in real time. So if I wanted to jump over to Redtail or Salesforce in real time, I can use these links here, and I can jump right off into my to that application. So really, the power and I do that very quickly, but that's my Salesforce instance over there in the other tab, and I was able to jump right off to it. So the power of Veooo is really that efficiencies gained between to send data between your systems and back and forth. All right, so we're going to jump over to Consolidate Clients. This is a list of all your clients. Sorry for trying to close a couple windows I had open there. So this is your Consolidate Client list. You can filter this list. You can segment it by using the filter at the top here. There's print and export capability you can see up here on these icons. And then when you get down to your client list, again, a client is take all your accounts, roll them up by like, social, and tax ID number into client groups, and then that's your client list here. And now if I wanted to click on, let's click on Calvin Coolidge, we'll take a look at one of the clients. This is where you're going to spend primarily most of your time in the system, because it's really where you start a lot of different workflows, whether it's opening a new account for this client, whether it's doing a money movement request, a trading request, or it's jumping off to one of your vendor applications, or maybe pulling financial planning data from your financial planning system, or performance data from your portfolio accounting system. That can all be done, right from the client record. The default tab is the Overview tab, but you can actually switch that. So when I'm on the different tabs, I can set each one of these tabs as, or some of the main tabs as my default tab. So some advisors like the Overview tab because there's a lot of different vendor modules on the Overview tab, like performance, financial planning. Some advisors like to come right to the balance and positions for the account. So we give you that flexibility. On the Overview tab, there's a variety of different both TD module and vendor modules. You're going to have your account list, that is the accounts that make up the client record. You're going to have, we have a householding functionality. So in this case, I have a Calvin Coolidge, like a corporate account that is linked to the Calvin Coolidge client. So that functionality, I'll show you where that is in a few minutes. It's in the Client Actions menu. We have a variety of different modules. So statements, if you were to find statements for a client, you can come right here to the client record, and they're going to have statements for all their underlying accounts. So I can see I can see statements for all these accounts here. Alerts, I'm going to see alerts for the client. Asset allocation. One of my favorite modules is payment transactions. That's where you're going to be able to manage and set up any money movement requests for the client. So any recurring money movement, so ACH in, out, check, wire, internal transfer. It could be just a one-time payment or a recurring. That's going to be all available from the payment transactions module. And along with this, we have a variety of different vendor modules. I don't have a lot of vendor modules added. You can see Morningstar report. If I wanted to run a Morningstar report for this client, I can click generate report. And this is if you have either a Morningstar Advisor Workstation or Morningstar Office. You can see on the fly, I was able to send my holdings to Morningstar and generate a nice snapshot report that has the portfolio analytics, so I can see kind of how the portfolio is broken down. That's the Overview tab. Balance and positions in history. Just like it sounds, we're going to find balance positions in history. The balanced section is at the top here. I can actually collapse that. You're going to see the ability to collapse and expand data throughout the platform. So, for example, up here at the header, we added a header information collapse, but if I expanded, I could see the demographic information for the account. I could even see notes from Redtail. But you can collapse stuff to see you know, a lot more real estate. So from here, you're going to see checkboxes next to the positions where you can trade the positions. I click some checkboxes here. You can see, I did it kind of fast, but you show your position selected here. It's almost like a toolbar at the bottom where you can see what's selected. And then if you wanted to trade those positions, you can hit trade selected. I can also trade the individual position by just using the arrow and hitting trade there as well. I can run investment detail reports if I use Morningstar or White charts on a particular security. And I know we're going through this kind of fast. We're just kind of pointing out some of the different areas of the platform that we know you guys will kind of get in and start to utilize. Filters can default to last 30 days. You can set up you can save a custom filter. So if I wanted to filter for a symbol, I can also change my default by applying that here as well. And then you have all these vendor jumping off points. So if I wanted to go to Wealthbox, I click on the Wealthbox tab. And I can jump right over to the client in the Wealthbox application. This is all fictitious data, but you can see I jumped over to Calvin Coolidge. Most of the tabs will take you in context to the client record in the vendor application. Some of the vendors will go right to the homepage. Like, for example, if I did some of the ones like MoneyGuide Pro, I'd jump right over to the MoneyGuide Pro homepage. But it saves you having to sign in. And you can pop up these windows that are framed in within a new tab by using this arrow up here at the top, and it'll launch in a new browser window. All right, so that's clients. Let's go back and let's actually take a quick look at one of the accounts here. Let's look at the IRA account. Wanted to point out here a couple things. If you expand this, this is where you can see the Rep ID account. It's all in the header information, along with the demographic information. Account actions, trade the account in context, order status, money movement, open a new account is all started from the account actions menu. And then as you're moving down the page here, you have a variety of different modules, balance over time. So you can, this is one of the new modules we added. You can see, just like they can see on advisor client, the balance over time for the account, account information. You can see that as well here. Statements, payment transactions, performance. There's a variety of different performance modules, but here's a Black Diamond performance module, all within the overview tab. So you definitely go to each of the different pages and edit your module library and add over the vendor modules, any of the TD modules you want to use. I want to spend a second on the account info tab. The account info tab has a lot of good information. This is where you're going to be able to update a custom description for account by clicking edit here in the profile information section. I could also edit the client information here, cost basis information, retirement account information. So in this case, you can see my IRA contributions for 2019, 2020. This is not on a new tab. It's down within the account info section here. And then I can also see interested third parties and beneficiaries. So account info has a lot of critical information that you're going to need to service the client. It balances positions in the history is at the account level here. Well, you want to point out the same concept. You can do the checkboxes, trade positions. If you click on the circle with 3 dots, which is the more details icon, you can actually see the cost basis information within the positions view. So this is an upgrade over Veooo where you don't have to go to the Gameskeeper view. We do have the other view, and I'll show you that in a second. But from here, I can actually see my tax lots on a particular position, and I can see unrealized gains and losses. As I said, we do have a cost basis view. I can see the Gameskeeper view, which is the full account view. I can see that here as well on the cost basis tab. Then I have dividend reinvestment, which is pretty straightforward for the account, and then the vendor tabs where I can jump off. So again, you're going to spend a lot of time in the client account pages. There's a lot of good information on the different tabs. I definitely highly encourage you to go to each of the different tabs, customize the page, because it all is user specific. The one caveat to that is the householding. The householding that you set up for the client actions menu is at the firm level. So one person can do that, and you can share those households across the firm. And with that, Ray, I'm going to stop and see if there's any questions.
No, I think we handled all the questions on the chat, Charlie.
All right.
No,
is Mike, am I pass it back over to Mike? Okay. Mike, am I pass it back over to you? We lose Mike again?
Hi, I'm here, Charlie. My connection's been in and out. I've been dumped a couple of times, so I can certainly take it if you would like. I can't guarantee my connection's gonna stand.
All right, why don't you try it, and then I will pick up if you get disconnected.
All right, Mike, that presentation should be coming over to you now.
Okay.
All right, we can see my view.
Your view's right, that's where we left off?
Yes, yep, you're exactly.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and thanks guys for being patient with us. All of us working from home, and I can imagine the WebEx servers are having a hard time keeping up, but we've been having connection issues here. So, all right, I will do my best. So consolidated views, we talked about clients and accounts. I'm going to hurry through these things. It's a lot. This is a lot of data that you guys are already familiar with. The couple of changes I wanted to point out. So the Move Money status, that's the old consolidated cash management page. We changed the name of Move Money, Cash Management in Veooo1 to Move Money, because it just more accurately captures what you're actually doing, but it is the same content. There is one slight change on that page. This is where you see ACHs that are scheduled and checks and all that kind of stuff. If in fact you have an upcoming transaction that is editable, you will not see the edit hyperlink at the far right of the table. You will see a pencil icon on the left side next to the account number. So again, if you can edit, you need to edit the withholding or the date of a distribution, that sort of thing. That all will live on that page, just in the little pencil edit icon on the left side of the table. Again, most of the rest of this stuff is very, very familiar to you, all the same data. As you can imagine, if you have any, sorts, so you custom filters that you've applied in Veooo, those will translate over to Veooo1 as well, so you don't have to reset those up. So if you use custom filters on the consolidated pages, those will work just fine for you. All right, so trading is an area that we won't touch on at all, and the reason is because trading hasn't changed for Veooo1. We didn't think it was fair to have to learn both a new custodial platform and an embedded trading workflow all at the same time. Eventually, we will rewrite the trading pages and incorporate some that we have gotten over the years. But for now, trading is exactly the same. So if you can trade on Veooo1, you can trade on Veooo rather Legacy, you can trade on Veooo1. We use all the same trading connections and endpoints and routes to the market and all that kind of stuff for Veooo1 as we do Veooo, so nothing should change from an execution standpoint. All right, account management. So account management, think of this as the account tools that you use just to kind of, it's a toolbox that you use to kind of run your business, right? So these are a lot of operational workflows. Again, these live in various different places on Veooo NextGen. For the most part, they are almost exactly the same. Again, same thing, a lot of the basic workflows that you do to actually do work in your practice, we didn't want to interrupt too much. But there are a couple of things I wanted to call out. So on the status tracker, for instance, where you see NIGO or not in good order documents, if you see this little triangle icon here, it is a hyperlink. You can click on it. And what that will do is actually take you directly over into the message center in activities. I won't click on it just for the sake of time, but it'll populate that little message over in the message center with this information preloaded, right? The NIGO reason and all that. So then from message center, you can then do the drag and drop and add new documents or write notes back to our service teams. So that's new. And I also want to see management fees twice. We will be retiring the old version of management fees, which again is the same as what you use today. The new version of management fees is a lot more powerful in terms of what we've added. So we've added a number of different, see if we can get some with some errors up. So yeah, this is a bad example because there's only one account. But what we actually show on Message Center is a number of filters and options to view. Statuses are all sortable, and they all float to the top by default. So all your accounts where you have, let's say an account is not permissioned for cash to be withdrawn, those types of things, all those messages will actually appear at the top of the table. So you're not hunting and pecking for those accounts or scrolling through a list of 500 accounts to find the 3 accounts that have some kind of issue that needs to be resolved. We're just making it a lot easier. And this is kind of based on some feedback that we'd heard a handful of times. What's of note here on the management fee page is that the actual process of charging management fees doesn't change, right? So the format for the files and all the upload and all that kind of stuff, we haven't changed the kind of the infrastructure, so to speak, of management fees or how it works. We've just laid on some additional tools to help you make your day a lot more just intuitive and productive. And you notice up here when you do submit an invoice total, you'll get to see how much you're actually going to get paid up in the top right here. So you'll see the big number after you've completed the management fee process. All right, so that's management fees, file uploads and file downloads. Again, not really changed from Veooo Classic. I do know that there's some, noting the Q&A content, there's some concern around the Veooo1 process for downloading forms. We are looking into fixing that. I'll bore you the technical details. There was an ActiveX control that allowed that to work in Veooo NextGen. And since ActiveX is a component that's no longer supported, it's ill-advised to build it into a new platform because you don't know how long it's going to work, right? So we need to find an alternative to do that to actually make the Veooo1 download operate more like Veooo, in that you can click on multiple files and save them all at the same time. Again, there's an outdated component that we did not bring along intentionally because from a development standpoint, it doesn't make sense. But we are looking to fix that to apply a different approach there and update that process for file download. The rest kind of remains the same. The account management, I call attention to it just to kind of point out what in fact we have here, where it lives in Veooo1. Again, because it lives in different places on Veooo Legacy. There's a handful of different areas where a lot of these kind of operational pages live, and we've consolidated them all into the account management drop down. All right, so move money. Let's talk about move money. Check deposit is just like you understand check deposit. So if you're using one of our approved scanners, you can, in fact, upload a check, grab the images front and back, and then allocate it to your accounts. What we have changed on the actual, see if I can get a count here. So the actual move money request, again, remember that's cash management. So wherever you see cash management in Veooo Legacy, it's now called move money. So this is very simple stuff, right? Where you're actually going to put in the various details. Let's say you want a check to go out to the client, delivery method, obviously frequency, that sort of thing, all the dollar amounts. You'll have an opportunity to review and submit the details, review before you submit. What I did want to call out, mention of is this on the right-hand side here. So what this really is a kind of a summarized view of all of the client's accounts in one spot in terms of cash and how the cash is looking. So you have the cash values here across the client's accounts, scheduled transactions. So if you had any scheduled transactions for a different account for this client, they would show up here, or if you had a transactions scheduled for this account that you've entered, they'll show here as well. You see RMDs and IRA contributions. That doesn't really make sense to have both, but of course this dummy client is in the system isn't realistic. But again, just to demonstrate that you do have, you will see RMD amounts for this client, and you will also see contribution amounts for this client. And then lastly, pending trades and open orders. So really we're leveraging that overnight job for you, the client job that we run, to gather all of Calvin Coolidge's accounts together and really presenting it in a way that really informs what you're doing over here. So if you already have a check going out to a client from a different account, maybe that informs what you do for another account for that client. So that's what's new. Again, the rest remains very, very, very similar and familiar. Research. Research is another area where, again, we utilize third-party providers for research. The research pages haven't changed either. So if you're familiar with using our research pages, If you use different things there, again, you won't have any problem actually using it in Veooo1 either. It's very similar. It's actually identical content. So again, research we didn't change for Veooo1. We left it familiar territory as well. And then tools and resources. Talk a little bit about what's in here. So think of this as the resource center on Veooo Legacy. It's a lot of content, documents, PDFs, explanations about the services we provide, the products we support, those types of things. It's a hyperlink here to events and education, so you can actually get to the TD Ameritrade event calendar, which is where you'll register for various numbers of different, let's actually take a look there. So from here, you can actually take a filter for a time range or whatever you want to look for. And then you can actually register for a lot of the not just Veooo1 stuff, but everything that we actually offer in terms of education and seminars and that sort of thing that we provide to our advisors for their business. So again, TD Ameritrade event calendar, and I think we also saw it up here. You can actually toggle to the TD Ameritrade event calendar up here as well, and same thing in the activities. So again, you kind of have a full list of what we're offering and when. And also the Education Center, this will just navigate you a single sign-on over to the Education Center, where you have obviously content, a lot of video content and resources for your business, for your practice. I'll make mention very, very quickly. Down here, the help actually takes you to the Education Center in context of Veooo1, so it does take you to the Veooo1 Education Center area. There's kind of this content also that we're covering now in video form, and then a lot of other things. So again, if you're new to TD Ameritrade and you need to learn how to trade or manage open new accounts, all of that type of content is available on the Education Center. And again, I can get there through either the menu here, which takes me to the generic Education Center, or the Veooo1 specific Education Center by using the help link at the bottom. But again, lots of content through here. I won't talk too much to it. I did want to call it the tax center. We have required minimum distribution calculator. So I know that a lot of folks obviously don't have all their assets at TD Ameritrade. So if in fact you have assets held away, and obviously that means that we can't calculate the client's RMD for a year, given that we only have 3 of their 2 or 4 retirement accounts, for instance. If that's the case, then we do have these little third-party calculators, very, very simple, and we'll calculate there for RMDs and Benny RMDs. So again, that's technical distribution. All right, so also technology updates. So we try to keep a kind of a list of additional things that we've built in Veooo1 or improvements that we've made. Again, you can drive from the kind of the summary page there into more details of what we're building. So check back, like I say, that's kind of, it shows, in retrospect, it shows what we've added to the site. And again, that is in the technology updates area. All right, so that's tools and resources. Again, this is more for awareness of where all that is the same as in Veooo1, perhaps arranged a little bit differently. But again, very, very familiar content to those people who are familiar with Veooo. And then set up an admin. So I'll cover a couple of things in here. We have the preferences page. Preferences is just like you might suspect. It's preferences for the site in general. I'll call out a couple of things. There's a couple of different things that you can actually edit in terms of what is your default page landing and that sort of thing, and how positions are organized. Also, multi-factor authentication. So everybody's enabled for multi-factor authentication. So this is text-based on a phone, where if somebody tried, let's say they got access to your user ID and password, and they attempted to access your client data, they would need your phone and would have to receive that text. So again, it is a second layer of security. It replaces if you turn it on, if you set it up, it replaces the security questions as your multi-factor authentication method. So it's either or. If you then go and delete your phone number out of there and turn it off effectively, it will your security questions then come back and become your layer of multi-factor authentication. We get the question a lot: is this, can it be turned? So I'm a principal. Can I force my advisors to use it? We have heard that. We're considering that as a feature. For now, it is individualized, so each user can choose to use it or not, and we don't have a way to globally force everybody to use it. And so again, like I say, that's something we could consider for the future if it's important to folks. Alerts and subscriptions, as you might suspect, Veooo1 respects all your alert subscriptions. So if you're an operations person, you don't care about, trading alerts or whatever, whatever's not important to you, you don't have to see them. What you've set up in Veooo Legacy carries over to Veooo1, so you're not going to have to reset that up. And then as well with the account grouping. So account groups, again, if you've set up account groups in Veooo, you can continue to use them in Veooo1. They live along, I just want to call it, they live alongside the householding. And I go to the internal chat. Did we cover householding? It may have gotten covered, but it's probably I was off the phone.
Yes, we touched on it. Yeah, we touched on it. Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so this group, this is the legacy groups, right? So and it defined however you like them, whatever a group is to you. So it can be regional or types of securities or risk or however you have them set up today. Again, that doesn't change for Veooo1. In the future, we hope to have the householding that Charlie demonstrated, which really is that firm level householding, which is a client-to-client relationship. That actually is a better choice for householding than the groups. For the biggest reason is if I open up a new account, remember we run that nightly job to kind of group accounts by social. So if I've got husband and wife's accounts in a household or in a client profile, we call them, if that's the case and I add or open a new account for husband or wife, tomorrow when I log into Veooo1, that account is already part of that household because they're client-to-client relationships. So I won't have to remember to go back and cherry pick an account and add it to a particular group. But again, that being said, our vision is to kind of make the groups and households kind of complementary and live side by side. We don't intend to draw down groups, so you can continue to use groups however whatever makes sense to you. And then I'm not sure, again, guys, like I say, because of my connection, I'm not sure if we covered the vendor management page. So I can cover that if I'm not repeating. So it looks like we have a few more minutes left.
Not vendor management page specifically, Mike.
Okay. So I got to the vendor management page through the vendor drop that's at the very, very bottom of the list, or through the set up an admin. You have vendor management here. So what this page is, I want to call out a couple of things here. This is where you're actually going to add your credentials for the first time when you log into Veooo1 to actually connect the vendors to Veooo1 to create that digital handshake, right? So some of them require you to put credentials in twice just by the nature of how they're built. Some of them, there are some specific things that are set up on the vendor side as well to really enable some of the applications to work the way they're supposed to. So if you have questions with that, tech services can help with the setup. Most of them are fairly simple, and again, don't require a whole lot that you're not familiar with. But I wanted to call out a couple of things. So again, I can launch the vendors from here. You notice there's a couple of different things that we provide, so like support for the vendor, phone numbers, kind of what we integrate, how we integrate with them, and then this link clients, which applies for just the first 4 vendors in this list. So Redtail, Salesforce, Orion, and Juncture Cloud. So if you're using any of those 4, make note of this page. There's a one-step process where we link clients. So you're going to take a client at your Calvin Coolidge at TD Ameritrade and tell us that, yes, that is Calvin Coolidge, his contact record in Redtail. If you use that utility, we actually do it 20 clients at a time to help you. We reach into their system and we try to look at, can we find Calvin Coolidge in the Redtail system and the Salesforce system? If we do, if that contact record exists, then we do kind of provide that link. And then you hit one button and it'll save that handshake at the client level for all 20 at a time. This is a step that is done at the firm level, so one person does it and everybody benefits if they have permission to see those clients on their user IDs. So again, as you add new accounts or new clients to your portfolio, you'll want to come in here if you're using one of those periodically and do that process, that linking process, one time at the firm. To really make full benefit of what that allows is the in-context single sign-on transitions that we showed you, or Charlie showed you on the client view page. All right, so I will start. I believe that that's the end of my content. If there are no questions that I can answer for the team, then I will talk about kind of what to expect here and feedback in the last 3 or 4 minutes here of the call. All right.
Hey,
so,
Mike, just
sure.
Mike, can you bring up the training schedule, please?
The
the training calendar. Yeah, under tools and resources. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the TD Ameritrade event calendar. So one question did come up about other training. The purpose of this training today was really just to orient folks to Veooo1 and give you enough information to start using Veooo1 within your practices. Just like any other tool or application, really the best way to learn is by using it. But if you were looking for training on other workflows like opening accounts or trading, for example, that is beyond the scope of this particular training. So what Mike brought up was the TD Ameritrade event calendar. There are lots of other webcasts that do go deep into those other workflows. And again, that was under tools and resources, events and education, and the TD Ameritrade event calendar. So you can sign up and register for those other web trainings at that location.
Cool.
And other than that, Mike, I think we've handled all the rest of the questions within the chat.
Great. All right, so down at the bottom here, there's the feedback icon, a little small on the bottom left. We actually, so again, was just for the last couple minutes of the call here, we actually read as a team every single piece of feedback that comes in. We actually do. Again, I know a lot of folks think that your feedback just goes into an empty hole, but it does not. So we actually do read everything. So we do encourage you to send us your feedback. And again, like I say, we're looking for themes. Obviously, we can't implement on every. For themes, things that we hear often is where we obviously will point our resources. And so, like I say, please keep the feedback coming. We really value it. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time as a team with management actually going through that and talking through it and figuring out what we want to do and really where we find the most benefit and impact. So do please keep the feedback coming. With that, I'll make mention it is not great for questions because we can't answer directly. So it's delayed. We don't get it immediately, and we don't have the mechanism to actually immediately answer questions through feedback. So for the questions, jot down that phone number that you see or that email address you see on the screen now, and that, in fact, is your lifeline to folks that can help you with some of the questions if you have technical questions. And again, but like I say, the feedback is best for comments. If you can give us as much content or context as possible in your feedback so we know exactly what your experience is, what workflow you're talking about, more information is definitely better. Periodically, we do have some folks from the team who will reach out to advisors who submit feedback if we need additional context for clarity about what you're requesting or what you're asking or what particular issue that you have. So if you do get contacted by the team via email or phone call, please work with them because again, it is very important to us that we understand the context of your comment. So with that, Ray, I think I'm done.
All right, sounds good. And actually, that is going to wrap up our formal presentation for today. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us. We will hang out in the Q&A to handle any of the last questions that are there. But at this point, we'll go ahead and close. Have a great afternoon and great evening, everyone.